I want to bring in our criminal defense attorney, B.J. Bernstein, as we continue to listen to this. Again, we know what he wants. Flanagan wants lorazepam in the stomach. Is he doing a good job? Is the jury getting that or not?
You know, I got to say, I don't think it's great right now. He's on the right path, which is this medical evidence is really complicated, but the way he's asking and setting up his questions for the jury, who has to understand everything. Remember, it's great for the lawyer and an expert witness to go back and forth with one another, but in the end, the jurors have to understand what they're saying.
Right.
And, you know, honestly, right now, it's not quite clear what points he's trying to make.
Got it. Okay, let's get back to court. We got to take a break and we'll be back with more. Do you think the jury got it? There was a lot of lorazepam in his stomach or not? Or do you think they're wondering like we are a little bit?
I think it's easily lost because it's everything, the art of cross-examination of an expert. One of the hardest things for a lawyer to do, which is to parry with someone who's very bright. He's a toxicologist.
Right.
He's a really smart guy. And at the same time, turn it into lay language that the jury can understand. And that's where this lawyer broke down.
Yeah, plain and simple. You know, what Eric and you both are saying, we should have been a simple point, and a point for the defense may have been completely lost here. All right, we're going to continue our analysis. Again, we'll get you back in the courtroom when proceedings continue. Also want to let you know at www.hlntv.com/Michael Jackson. Some great information there, specifics on the trial. You can look at the same evidence we're looking at, transcripts from 911 calls, things like that. They'll get you up to
People's 30, the 100 milliliter Propofol bottle, inside of People's 29, the saline bag, as you found it?
No.
Why not?
I photographed it as we were taking items out of the bag, and as I took things out, I was looking at them and figuring out what was what. As I took the bottle out of the saline bag to see if it was propofol, what drug, to see what it was, and then I set it down on top of the bag, as in the photo, and that's the first photo taken.
Obviously, the prosecutors would like her to have a do-over on that. For her, they'd love to have that photo of the propofol in the saline bag there. BJ, how important is this? Because it cuts to both theories here. The prosecution wants to say that was an IV drip of propofol going into Michael Jackson.
I think you're dead on that. That's one of the points here that the prosecution is wanting to make. I mean, remember, they have to show that the propofol, you know, the cause of death was propofol. They have to show how it was administered, when it was administered, and now we have the state, you know, bringing back this witness today because, you know what, she made some mistakes on the stand yesterday. And very clever on their part. Get her in now while it's fresh in everybody's minds. Remember, this is a couple-week trial. And clean it up. And we've started that now with her looking at this photograph showing about how the bottle, you know, how the tubing was draped or not.
Okay, Eric, let's get you in. I had an email I got to share with everybody again. Email sent to me as this was all going down saying if the bag is, that's the crutch here, because BJ, that's what the prosecution wants to prove. And I don't know if they've laid it out in clear terms yet, that it was an IV drip, because we're going to hear, by the way, when we hear Dr. Murray's interview, how his mode was for a 2-month time, give Michael Jackson, inject 50 milligrams of propofol, but then start an IV drip to keep him under. If the prosecution gets that it was on and that drip was working that day, Murray leaves the room, it malfunctions, negligence, Michael dies. They got to lay that out for the jury and prove it. That's it, right?
They do, and that's why, you know, this afternoon when we hear probably from Conrad Murray, it's going to be so important because he was sitting there with counsel for over 2.5 hours, really detailing what happened that day. And that's something that's easier for the jury to focus on. But let's be clear, the doctor's testimony is tedious. We started with the toxicologist today, and it's going to keep going like this into next week. At times, it may seem tedious because, you know, it's not our common understanding. I'm not a doctor, you're not a doctor, and yet we're having to interpret it. And so I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't say it's just one light switch of evidence, that it's this fusion of things together that a jury has going to have to look at the end of the case to determine guilt beyond a reasonable doubt or not.
Yeah, and you and I we were talking as we were watching it together, and trying to go, okay, what are you getting out of this? A jury can't even do that. They can't talk amongst themselves.
That's right.
During the trial, they got to, in their own self, interpret.
Exactly. They take an oath. You know, they can't talk to each other. They don't get the play-by-play. And so as a lawyer, when you're asking questions, and this is where I find fault with the defense today, the form of the question, you want to use cross-examination. This is when I get to talk, and I get to lay out where the information is coming and then kind of parry with the witness and duel a little bit. And that wasn't so clear today of where he was going.
Right.
And if it stays like that, that's a problem for the defense.
Yeah, you got to teach the jury. You made that point. Hey, let's take a look, Eric, BJ, let's look at the timeline here. This is according to Dr. Conrad Murray. When he gave that 2-hour interview 2 days after Michael Jackson dies on June 27th, this is his account. Now, the state, I don't believe, they don't believe this timeline. They may have believed some of the drugs, obviously, were in his system. We've seen that. But it begins at 1:30 in the morning. He gives Michael Jackson Valium, 2 a.m. lorazepam, 3 a.m. midazolam, and then there's even a warning with that. I just want to share that. With midazolam, intravenous midazolam has been associated with respiratory depression, respiratory arrest. I mean, that even has a warning. But he gets that at 3, at 5, more lorazepam, at 7:30, more midazolam, tops it off with propofol at 10:40. That ultimately leads to his death in one way, shape, or form.
Right, and what that ties into is what you and I were listening to this morning with the toxicologist. In the cross-examination, they kept using these terminology, ion trapping and post-mortem.
Did you ever figure that out?
Not completely. I Googled it, I'll confess.
Oh, good.
And I still am not clear, but ion trapping and post-mortem redistribution. In other words, they're talking about these cocktail of drugs in a system that can that create an independent timeline that will confirm what Conrad Murray's doing? That's what I'm trying to do as I'm the defense. In English, that's what they're trying to do. Have they accomplished it right now? I'm not so sure. Was that what they're going for by those kinds of questions and why we're going to see that next week? I think yes.
Got it. And we're going to get those witnesses. Even this witness, Dan Anderson, the toxicologist, said, that's not my area of expertise. There will be a parade of experts coming along behind me that can better answer those questions, pharmacologists, things like that, that will tell us. And how key is that? The absorption of either propofol or lorazepam in Michael Jackson's system.
Well, it's going to be important if you, from the defense point of view, that they gave an opening argument and this timeline that you just went through with your audience. You know, you are wanting something independent, anything independent of what Conrad Murray says to be the vote to go in the defense favor, to make sure that they are in agreement with one another. You know, because we already, you know, we have some problems with Conrad Murray. We had all these women, you know, we have this feeling about him that he's a bit of a cad and he needs money and he's hooked up with a star now. And so you have that, which isn't good for believing him. So if the defense can come up with something, anything that's substantiated by the medical evidence that you can't really tinker with, then they may be able to say, you may not like my client. You may not totally agree with him and how he practiced medicine here, but he's right about what he did, and what he did may be potentially a civil suit down the road, but isn't criminal. That's what they're going to try to do.
And didn't cause Michael Jackson's death. Michael caused his own death is where they want to go at the end of the day. Let's take a quick break. And you know, you mentioned all these things. What a week it has been. I mean, we get the parade of Conrad Murray's girlfriend. Know of other doctors. Key point here, he's not sure of that and asked, who's your employer? Well, he initially thought it was Michael Jackson, then come to realize that AEG would be paying his salary. BJ Bernstein, real quick on this one. Man, that jury, they've heard Michael Jackson's voice. Now they get the other major player, Conrad Murray.
Huge, because this tape may be the only time we hear from Murray. We don't know yet whether he'll take the stand in his defense. It's far too early, so this is a critical point in the trial. We're all got. I mean, I'm going to be watching this afternoon.
I cannot wait. My colleagues, Jane Velez, Mitchell, Ryan Smith, are going to be taking over. It's been great talking to you, helping walk us through, especially some of that tough testimony through there. What we're going to be hearing, by the way, we're going to get that timeline from Dr. Murray. The state, do they believe it? Not so much, but Murray's timeline. What did he give Michael Jackson? Lorazepam, midazolam, propofol, in what amounts and when, leading up to Michael Jackson's death. More of Conrad Murray's voice coming up. In the meantime, we're going to be analyzing. Jane and Ryan taking over. Keep it right here. You're watching HLN, the place to be for the Michael Jackson death.